Well, hello. Glad you could make it. Welcome. My name's Joey. This is my first video. Welcome to my new YouTube channel. I'm hoping that I can provide something to add to your life, some sort of value add, at least something interesting to think about or talk about. I don't really know what my channel is going to be entirely about yet. It's a work in progress, and certainly as the adventure, this new adventure in life continues, it will grow and adapt and change, and what it's about a year from now will probably be very different from what it's about right now. I'm going to try to talk about some sciencey things. I'm gonna try and do some educating. I've got some interviews with some professionals planned and in the works, and some different things. So hopefully all those things that I have planned and imagined work out fairly well. Certainly I'll be doing a little bit of talking about what's going on in the world. Certainly there's some hot topics out there right now that we're all kind of dealing with and experiencing to varying degrees. Like the coronavirus that we're all dealing with here in 2020. It's kind of the hot topic. So I probably will spend a little bit of time talking about a few aspects of that. Anyway, you are welcome to join me if you want. You can do that by clicking the little subscribe button down there. The little bell might tell you when I post something new, and the like button helps other people see it. So thank you for those of you who have joined me and already started pushing some of those buttons. It's been an interesting year for all of us. Very challenging for all of us, some more so than others. Certainly I wouldn't want to minimize someone else's challenges this year. I'm not in California where we've got this horrible fire season going on right now. Certainly I'm not in the Gulf of Mexico where we've had some pretty devastating hurricanes make landfall. Certainly I'm not in a metropolitan area where life has certainly been much more severely impacted than where I am out in a rural area. But nonetheless, we've all faced some challenges. We've all faced hardships this year. I don't know of anyone whose life has not been affected to some degree or another by what the world is going through right now. Work looks very different for a lot of us. So many who are fortunate enough to still have jobs are now working from home, and that presents its own challenges and opportunities and pros and cons. Certainly working from home is not necessarily an option for me. It's kind of hard for me to remodel your bathroom while from working from my home. I'm not quite sure how I could do that. Certainly there are things I could do at my home or out in the shop in preparation to make it so that I'm spending less time at your house, but my goodness, that would be quite an undertaking to try and remodel a bathroom. Oops. Remotely. Um, Nothing's impossible, but I kind of think that would be a bit difficult. Um, anyway, welcome. I hope I can provide something to you. You know, there's a lot of talk in the world, and a lot of discussion and a lot of debate about a lot of the things we're going through, and there's a lot of simple things we can do to shorten the length of time that this coronavirus is going to be affecting us. It's my opinion that washing my hands and wearing a mask will decrease the amount of time that we're dealing with this. You know, there's a lot of discussion and debate about masks. There's a lot of discussion and debate about there's even a section of society here in America that believes that this is just a hoax. I'm pretty sure it's not. I think it'd be pretty hard to perpetuate a global hoax. There would be a lot more people and agencies and entities out there calling it a hoax if it truly was a hoax. Certainly, there's debate and discussion about how many have actually died because of the coronavirus and how many have died due to other causes. Personally, I think that those that make those determinations kind of just need to draw a line in the sand and say, here's the line, and here's the numbers based on the line being there. And if someone else says, no, the line should be over here, and here's where the numbers are based on the line being over there. We just got to draw a line in the sand and determine those numbers. One thing that a lot of these entities look at is typical numbers of deaths, and from one of the sources I was looking at the other day, here in the United States, about 300,000 more deaths so far this year than as opposed to this time of year last year, which is 100,000 more than what we're attributing the widely accepted numbers of coronavirus deaths that is widely accepted, which is roughly 200,000, just a little over 200,000, I believe, currently. And certainly there are those that think even that number is high. And my personal view is that if someone has deceased and tested positive for the coronavirus, and they would not have died when they died anyway, due to their underlying conditions, then we should attribute it to the coronavirus. And certainly not every death out there is tested. There are plenty of people who have died that weren't even tested to see if they died of coronavirus or not. But like I say, comparing this year's numbers to last year's numbers, roughly a 300,000 death difference. And that's kind of a big number. Certainly not everyone who gets the coronavirus is going to die. Certainly not everyone who gets it is even going to need medical care. I believe roughly 80% of those infected are going to be pre-symptomatic, meaning the symptoms haven't shown up yet, or asymptomatic, which means they probably aren't noticeably going to show up at all. And roughly 20% of those infected will require some sort of medical care, and then a percentage of those will actually, I don't know how much of that you can hear from upstairs, but and only a percentage of that 20% that need medical care are actually passing on. And there are things that we can do to help improve those numbers, and a lot of that's been talked about elsewhere. Washing our hands, not touching our face, certainly help us from infecting ourselves, because we touch everything in the world, and so keeping our hands clean, and sterilizing our phones, or sanitizing. Sanitize. Probably sanitize is a better word there. Doing these things, it certainly increases our ability to avoid infecting ourselves. Wearing a mask is one that there is a lot of discussion and debate about, especially as far as like personal rights. My take on it is that my rights only extend to a point where they start infringing on your rights. And if I refuse to wear a mask, I'm infringing on your rights to health and safety, and I'm taking your choices away if I'm infected. To me, wearing a mask is just not that big a deal. It's not. It's not comfortable. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. But it does help. At the very least, it helps if I am infected and don't know it. It helps me avoid infecting you. And for all I know, you might be someone that I care about. Or you might be in contact with someone I care about, and if I get you sick and you get them sick, then I've lost someone I care about simply because I was selfish and didn't want to wear a mask. How dare you tell me I have to wear a mask to go out in this public place? Anyway, I think that's enough on that subject. Other than, wearing a mask reminds me that, hey, I've got to stand back. Stay socially distant. If I remember to put my mask on, I remember to stand back. I remember I'm not supposed to shake your hand when I meet you, which most of us are used to, shaking people's hands or giving them a hug or whatnot when we see someone we haven't seen for a bit. Sometimes it's nice to be able to give them a hug, and it's not the brightest idea to be doing that this year, which is very hard, very challenging for all of us. But also, one thing that I haven't really heard talked about, haven't heard discussed, is that if I wear a mask, I'm providing, showing my support of our frontline and essential workers, who are in much more dangerous and much more high-risk situations than I am in my daily life. So I get to support them. I have a sister that's in the healthcare industry, and I certainly don't want to increase her workload, or any other essential worker or frontline worker. And I do have a few friends in that industry, as well as my immediate family. And what's wrong with being supportive of someone? Whether you know them or not. What's wrong with supporting them? Is there? Am I missing something? Is there something fundamentally wrong with showing support for someone, whether you know them or not, and just helping them out? Is there something wrong with helping your neighbor carry in their groceries? Other than it's hard to stay socially distant from someone when you're helping them carry groceries into their house or whatnot. Anyway, that's a whole different matter. But for me, it's the socially responsible thing to do wear a mask and stay socially distant and show some support for people who are in a lot higher risk environments than I am. And thank you to all of those of you out there in those situations. Thank you for doing what you're doing and helping things continue and improve and all those things. Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it, and I will show my support and my appreciation by wearing a mask when I'm out in public. I also one other thing that I do to help myself is I keep my social circle pretty small. Europe and most of the countries in Europe and I believe Australia are recommending social gatherings be kept to 6 people or less. I take that to a slightly further step, and my social circle in a given week is about 6 people. And there are times when there's an exception to that. Small events that I go to where there's a few more people, and that's a risk I take, and that's a risk that those that are there at those events and things, we've kind of mutually decided that risk is acceptable at that given time. We've got to kind of balance all these things. It's very hard to just put everything on hold and everybody shut themselves into their houses for several weeks. It's very, very difficult, very difficult. It's certainly not very fun, and there's a lot of negative impacts. It certainly affects our mental health and well-being. It certainly affects our outlook on life. We're social creatures. We like to have interaction with other human beings. So it is hard to do. It is hard to do. We all just have to do our best. That's my opinion. Anyway, not entirely what my channel is going to be about, to just talk about masks and COVID. However, it is the subject of the year, so we're probably going to spend a little bit of time talking about those things, and looking at some data and looking at some information and opinions, both verified studies and things. There's a lot of information out there. There's also a lot of misinformation out there, and I do try to verify my information. I do try to make sure that I'm not perpetuating misinformation. Most of the sources I look at also are pretty good at verifying their information, or at least categorizing their information in a way that says, hey, this is a blind study, or this is an observational study, or this is someone's opinion that I've come across, and here's why I agree or don't agree. So most of the sources I'm looking at least tell me how valid the information is, and whether it's worth my time to perpetuate that. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Certainly, there are things we can do to minimize all this, and there some of that we're going to look at in future videos. So I hope you've clicked some of those buttons down there and can stay in touch. Anyway, I've taken 20 minutes of your time now, so thank you very much, and thank you again to those who have hit some of the buttons down below. Feel free to leave a comment. Healthy discussion, differences of opinion, and whatnot are all welcome. Let's keep it civil and respectful. We're all human. We all have a right to our opinions. We all have a right to how we look at things, and I guess we have a right to call people names, but let's try not to do that, because I don't really feel it's necessary to call people names. I don't think it really adds any benefit to anything to do that. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you know. What are your sources? Where are you getting your information on what's going on in the world? And what kind of videos would you like to see me make? Because obviously these videos are going to be a lot more successful if they're on something that you're interested in, whereas they may not be as successful if they're based on what I'm interested in, because I'm just me. And if my videos only get one view because I'm the only person who's interested in what I'm doing the video on, then I've kind of defeated the purpose. So tell me what you're interested in, what you would like to see some videos on, and we'll see you in the future. Thanks for joining me on this little adventure, and we'll see you in the next episode. Yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for dropping by. We'll see you soon.